morning. I'm going to walk you through our process with this project in Pittsfield. Basic elements of developing a program consist of defining the problem, defining the program, and implementing that program. The goal here was to create a program that was based on the interest of the veterans. We had a tremendous amount of support from the director and staff at Soldier On, and our approach was not to have a set agenda. Through our initial meetings with the staff, we started to decide that we wanted to have a health fair. And we thought this would be a good way to introduce ourselves into the community and gather information from the veterans as to what health interests they had. For us, this approach demonstrated a high level of respect. Cheryl and I considered what the experiences might have been for these veterans in the past with nurses, with health care. After all, they could have been considered an aging population that at best was given a list of things to work on, or they may have only interacted with health providers when there was a major issue in their life. We wanted our time to be a very positive experience, and we wanted the veterans to see nurses as a resource in their community. So the design of the program had to mirror their wants and needs. It would have been a lot less time-consuming for us to just show up with a preset agenda covering health interests that we decided on. So basically all the quote-unquote little things of this program really did matter. In particular, we had a long discussion with the director about where and when to have this health fair, how to organize it. We decided that it would be in one of the dining halls. It would start pretty much after the lunch hour and go until the dinner hour. It was a general area that a lot of veterans were around, so it really lended itself well to what we wanted. In addition to the health and community resources gathered, we made sure to have a lot of giveaways, and that's pretty typical of any population, right? So we had flu kits, and we had stress balls. We also offered to take blood pressures, and as you nursing students know, what better way to interact with people than to take their blood pressure. So during that time, we introduced ourselves as nurses, and we explained that we would be there for a few weeks, and that our goal was to just do health education. It was important for us to have a good understanding of the resources that we had. Both Cheryl and I at different times were questioned on the entire spectrum in that 5-hour period, I think, of the health system and healthcare. It was funny, at one point I was talking about prostate cancer treatments and screenings, and in the other part of my ear I'm hearing Cheryl talk about, you know, optic eye surgery, basically outcomes and treatments with that, and her OR past had really played a key part in that. And you know, my cancer information really helped me as well. So really, who we are as people and nurses really played a part in the success of this program. So during that time, we gathered a lot of the information from the veterans, and we sort of made a list of what their concerns were. Nutrition was one. People wanted help quitting smoking and addictions. They mentioned they wanted to learn more about diabetes, hypertension, and other disorders. So what we did was take that information and we just sort of grouped it together because we knew we had a limited amount of time. And basically what came out of that was a couple sessions. And the sessions were nutrition and exercise. Smoking cessation was the second one. And the third one was looking overall at chronic disease management. We felt the response from the fair was very positive since we almost saw about 50 residents and staff members. And since the staff were also veterans, we included them in our goals. Directly after the fair, we got invited to attend a group that was happening on campus. And this was a speakers group where a veteran was going to share their story of hope and inspiration and how they were making gains in their life. For us, this was a big achievement because when you work with a certain group or a population, it's important to know when there's been a level of acceptance made. And for this, to us, this was like, aha, okay, we're in the door here. You know, a lot of times we're in the community as nurses and dealing with different populations, and we're kind of put off by some people, and probably with good reason. We probably offended a lot of people as nurses, and with good intention. So, right? With good intention. So, for us, we just really felt that this was a big door opening, and we eagerly walked through that door. We then developed these sessions. And again, with the time constraints, what we decided to do was use our resources where we worked. And we knew people in the community. We connected with a cancer-certified dietitian. We connected with a health educator of diabetes. We connected with a smoking cessation counselor to help develop our program, to make it more effective. You know, our goal here was to have a practical approach to what we were doing. And it was very helpful, you know, because we gained a lot of insights from these professionals. The result was 3 50-minute educational sessions, and each session was designed to be interactive, informative. And the groups were also cumulative. We decided that since we had a captured audience, we could sort of build off one group into the other. Even though the topics were a little different, there were a lot of things that carried over. So for instance, in the nutrition group, which was the first group, we had a lot of information about, you know, portions and sodium. And in the third group, when we were talking about chronic disease management, we, you know, related that from the sodium intake of the first group. We also spent a lot of time reviewing nutritional information on labels, basic skills. In the smoking group, we looked at the physical, financial, and social benefits of quitting smoking. And we also supported the concept of progress instead of the all or nothing approach. Overall, we felt we had great outcomes for this project. Just by looking at the attendance, with 45 to 50 people at the health fair, each group was attended by between 18 and 23 people. Although one of the rules for living at Soldier On is that group attendance is mandatory, there's a certain number of groups that people have to attend in any given week. We felt that it spoke volumes that they came to the health education sessions because there's multiple groups offered each day. And you know, when we went to this project, we didn't know if anybody would come to this group. You know, we tried to, you know, hear from their interests, but you know, we went to the first group and said, "Gee, I hope people come." You know, we're sitting there and like, "Okay, we're ready. We did all this work. I hope they come." And sure enough, they did. So that worked out very well. You know, as I mentioned, so the groups carried information from one group to another, and it was exciting to hear how people experimented with their diet and access programs in the community. At first, our nursing brains really led us to want to have a survey at the end of each group that they would fill out, right? Isn't that what we do as nurses? We want to check off boxes and see what we did. But, you know, we thought about it, and we were having such good discussions in the first group, and the energy was just so amazing. We just said, you know what, we're not going to do, we're not going to have written surveys. We didn't want to change that energy. We wanted to keep people in the mode of discussing and learning and talking. So there seemed to be a real sense of pride with sharing what they had been doing in the group sessions. And in addition, we connected people to community resources, enabling them to take a more active role in their health awareness. Residents and staff accessed a Get Cuff program for people with hypertension. This program is designed to give people a blood pressure cuff and also connect them to a registered nurse in the community. A smoking cessation counselor is on site at Soldier On a few times a month, and the director told us that this was something that was underutilized by the residents, which we found interesting because the residents were telling us they wanted to learn more about quitting smoking. So we focused some of our information and our interactions about meeting with this counselor, breaking down some of those barriers. And we really encouraged a lot of attendance with that. This experience has really enriched my life as well. As someone who likes efficiency, I work out in a gym that's just a few blocks from the hospital. And you know, now in the mornings when I'm there, I'm greeted with, you know, "Hey Dan, my blood pressure's this now," or "I've lost 10 pounds. And it's quite humorous, and it's very good to know because, as you know, working with people, we often don't get to see end results or later results or follow-up. So for me, even at 7 a.m. in the morning before I had coffee, it's still a nice caveat, you know. And it was funny. Monday morning, I was walking through the door, thinking of this presentation and this statement, and there's a hand waving from the sauna, you know, "Hey Dan." So I was like, okay. So luckily, they don't ask me to take blood pressure in the bathroom. So that hasn't gotten to that level. So part of our program design was we made ourselves available a few hours before these sessions and a few hours after. This was to create opportunities with people individually. During this time, we took the initiative to find ways to interact and socialize. We did this by walking the grounds, spending time in the recreation room. It was important for us to continue to develop positive relationships so that enjoying a game of pool was much more than just a game. This helped our goal of veterans seeing nurses as a positive resource and was evident as the veterans felt more comfortable asking health-related questions and sharing their personal situations. We had anticipated going in and setting up a health education program. We'd envisioned leading groups and connecting people to health-related resources. It is interesting to know the types of opportunities that we were able to act on in addition to our original plan. And what was nice about it for us is what we got to access different parts of our nursing brain. And what I mean by this, besides the surveys, is that we got to teach about anatomy, talk about medications. You know, we encouraged people to think more about their health, giving them advocacy skills. We had many supportive discussions regarding addictions and helped to explain the rationale for certain screenings and tests. A lot of one-on-one time also included reinforcement of clinical recommendations. It was clear that basic health advocacy skills are vital to everyone and not just those who are dealing with chronic illnesses. As healthcare providers, we sometimes forget how intimidating we can be and how non-medical people often feel they can't ask questions once they've left that doctor's office, or that they feel inadequate because the provider, us, have not explained something in understandable terms. This experience really reinforced how important it is for me as a nurse to provide an environment where people feel comfortable just being themselves. One of the things that we really impressed us about Soldier On is that they had great relationships built into the community. There are multiple large announcement boards that have information and opportunities for social, occupational, and political opportunities within Pittsfield area. Future planning that we really think would benefit this population considers what we would do if we had more time there, or if we could be a permanent fixture. We really did enjoy our time there. A wellness committee made up of veterans that could enhance interactions between human services, nursing, and other departments would strengthen their community. Continuing to build those bridges in the community through development of a speakers bureau, for instance, to educate local college students on various topics relating to armed services, increasing awareness through an active presence with the library, senior center, and other recreational groups to include non-veterans, so socialization isn't just between veterans. Sometimes we need a push to step out of our comfort zone, and when we get that push, we often find that we can find comfort too, and then thus evolve. I think it's important for us to help those pushes at times. Expansion of group involvement to include exercise as a major component. In other words, creating a group that is based on their interest in the activity. So maybe they could create a walking group that the veterans then have to go out and plan a trail, either on campus or off campus. And then maybe go and have individual teams or individual people charting their progress and really looking at it and looking at the goals. You know, and developing healthy competition as well. And it never hurts to have a mug or a simple thing from the dollar store to motivate as a prize, you know. That's always a great thing. Thank you. So the fight doesn't end when they get home. This is a quote that you'll see on their letterhead and business cards. It's a very powerful quote. And as providers in multiple roles sitting here today, it is our hope that all of us can be part of their solution instead of their fight. Thank you very much. I think we're supposed to ask if there's questions. No? Lucky us. Nice job.
Good job. Good job. We have to do all the technological.